Hello everyone and welcome. I'm your host, the Stuttering Gamer. Today I'm going to be going through some very quick impressions and my thoughts on Sony's debut State of Play address from a few days ago. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, back in November of 2018, Sony announced that they weren't going to be hosting their traditional E3 press conference, to the disappointment of many, including myself. But after the successes that Nintendo has been having with their Nintendo Direct broadcasts for the past few years, maybe that was partially influential in Sony's decision to abandon their traditional big-scale production and moving it to a smaller format that they could pre-record and broadcast directly to their fans. We're not really sure, but in any case, Sony has decided to basically copy the style of the Nintendo Direct. Basically just have one rapid-fire announcement after another with a wide variety of titles that they can give a larger, more intimate focus to in a speedier fashion. So I'm just going to get this right out of the way. I thought the broadcast was very disappointing. To be honest, I thought it sucked. There's a few reasons that I say that. The biggest problem that I felt that Sony had with their State of Play was there was too much of a focus on PlayStation VR. There's over 80 million PlayStation 4s that have been sold worldwide, but only about, I think, 3 or 4 million PSVRs have been sold. That's a very small number of users relative to the number of hardware units that are out there, like the number of consoles that are out there. But they decided to feature at least half the games that were either strictly PSVR games or titles that featured some sort of PSVR connectivity. Iron Man VR seemed like it seemed like, I'm not sure if it's really a flight combat game or some kind of shooting gallery. Maybe it's, I would hope that it's would lean more toward a flight combat game, like an Ace Combat type game, but played in first person. That would be better. In fact, Ace Combat 7 on PS4 does have a PSVR mode. I did think of that when I saw the trailer, but there was very little footage to go on, so it was kind of hard to tell just how deep of an experience that would be. The gameplay they showed looked very shallow. It looked like almost like a simple shooting gallery. There was a mention of No Man's Sky. There's an update coming for that. Largely, they just talked about the update was going to feature PSVR. So whether it's basically just a patch that will enable native PSVR support. I mean, to be honest, how many people are still playing No Man's Sky? It's unfortunate what happened to that game. That game really wasn't ready, but it was rushed out much too early, and I think all the hype for that game is long dead. It is commendable that they have been continuously patching and updating the game and adding new content, and sure, it's nice that they're adding PSVR support, but if you're still not interested in No Man's Sky by this point, honestly, how many people are going to go and buy it now because it now will support PSVR. I really was not impressed with that at all. There was a release date was revealed for Crash Nitro Team Racing, which was nice. The game, the remake of that PS1 classic does look very nice. No mention of PSVR specifically for that, but there was a release date of June 21st, so that's cool. Anyone who's played Crash Team Racing from back in the day, that game is very highly regarded from the PS1 days. It's nice to see that it's been remade and going to be reintroduced to a new audience, so that's cool. There was this other PSVR game, Blood and Truth. That really didn't look all that interesting. I really had nothing to say about that. But again, it's a big focus of the game is PSVR. The game itself, like I said, it really didn't look that interesting. I watched the trailer 3 times and I still don't remember anything about it. Yeah. And the fact that it's PSVR really doesn't do anything to get me interested at all. There was another game called Ready Set Heroes. This could be a decent party game. It's basically a 4-player dungeon crawler, but the twist is that it's basically like 2 versus 2, and you're going through the dungeon, but you're going you and your teammate are competing against the other team, and the faster you get through the dungeon, when you get to the end, you have this big free-for-all battle at the end, which I mean, it didn't. I really wasn't interested in it. Generally, isn't the idea of playing a dungeon crawler to play cooperatively with your friends usually? Like if I was going to play something like Diablo, usually I'd want, or Gauntlet or something like that, I'd want to be on the same team with people and not fight them. But there's a little twist on the formula, so I can't fault a different idea. It just didn't look appealing to me, but it's 4-player, there's local multiplayer, there's online multiplayer. That's good. No specific mention of PSVR, but as with most of these announcements so far, PSVR has been a big focus of this address. Then after that, there was a montage of games which were also for PSVR. Again, really nothing that jumped out of particular strong interest to me. They mostly looked like games that were trying to skew to a mass audience. They looked very, I'd say, very like family friendly, very kid friendly. Not to say they were implied that they're bad games, and not to say that I don't enjoy games that are for a younger audience. Not at all. Just these particular titles personally didn't do really anything for me, and certainly would not make me want to rush out and buy a $300 or $400 PSVR accessory. After that came a game called Observation, and I gotta say, this game caught my interest. This was probably my personal my personal top game of the State of Play address. It's sort of like a horror thriller game that's set on a space station with some astronauts that there seem to be like a dead body at one point that was floating around, and there were a couple of other astronauts that were alive, and they seem to be completely clueless as to what's going on. The premise, again, the information was very limited in the trailer, but the premise seems to be that instead of controlling the astronaut characters, you're controlling the space station itself. So, and you're looking at them through a camera lens. So immediately what I thought of at the end of the trailer was 2001: A Space Odyssey and the character of HAL 9000. So, like, if you've ever fantasized of playing as a homicidal supercomputer, maybe Observation is the game for us. But Observation did seem like a really interesting idea. It's coming out in May, so only a couple months from now. This game legitimately looked really interesting. I would like to learn more about this. After that, they showed a new VR version of Five Nights at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's, of course, was a indie game phenomenon from a few years ago. Very popular with the streaming community. People were recording themselves freaking out playing the game. Five Nights at Freddy's and that series, it never appealed to me. And this new game, seems to be a remix of some of the old stages, or like the old games and some new content meshed together. Personally, I think that Five Nights at Freddy's was milked to death very quickly. I'm honestly kind of surprised that they're trying to bring the series back, but who knows? Maybe with VR integration, it could breathe some new life into a series that came and went very quickly and just got milked to death all too fast, and just it was forgotten about almost as quickly as it arrived. Nowadays, like, no one really seems to talk about it, but now it's coming back with a new VR variant. So, yeah. After that, they did reveal another unique game called Concrete Genie. This one, like Observation, also did pique my interest. Again, the information in the trailer was very limited to go on. It seemed to basically be about a boy who likes to draw. Like, he's got this drawing book, and he's making a sketch, and it seems like this kid has a problem with bullying. He doesn't seem like he has a lot of friends. The bullies grab his book, and his sketches are scattered, and they fall away, and it seems that, I guess, either like his, like, the world that he's in is like very dark and depressing and devoid of color, and then I guess some of the creatures, or like some of the sketches that he's made, I think, like, some of those ideas are like coming to life, and he's gotta, like, I think, collect his missing sketchbook pages, and also like draw and like add color and bring his creations from his pages into the real world, and like he's going around and he's physically drawing his creations on the walls in the real world. The game does look very colorful. I thought it was very pretty. It reminded me a little bit of Epic Mickey from a few years ago, where Mickey would control he had a paintbrush, and many of the worlds you encountered there were devoid of color, and you had to add color to certain things to like reinvigorate the world. Or also even a game like De Blob, where you had to go around and paint buildings and add color and life and vibrance back into the world to progress. Not a lot of information was said in the trailer, but Concrete Genie, again, did look like one of the more interesting titles from State of Play. It's unfortunate that Sony didn't have more titles like Observation and Concrete Genie in this. Otherwise, I think State of Play would have been more interesting. After that, they showed another gameplay and information trailer for Days Gone. Days Gone is the biker zombie third-person open world shooter game that's coming out very soon. I admit, from the moment I saw Days Gone a few years ago, I was not interested in it, and I'm still not interested in it now. I'm primarily, I'm really not interested in the characters, the biker culture. That just really, like, the characters really don't do anything for me. I've played a lot of games where I'm killing zombies. This one just doesn't do much for me personally, but I understand why Sony showed this game, because it's coming out next month, as the time of this recording. I'm sure a lot of people are interested in this game. It'll probably do very well. It's probably a very well-made game. Just not personally my cup of tea. And then they closed with a rather humorous trailer for Mortal Kombat 11. I'm not a big fighting game fan. I have nothing against Mortal Kombat. It's just I don't really play fighting games very much. So while the trailer was good, it was funny. I'm really not that interested in it. So yeah, overall, the debut State of Play broadcast was really disappointing. Primarily because they focused way too much on PSVR, and a lot of the titles that they showed were just not that compelling. What was it? Like the Iron Man VR game didn't look interesting. Ready Set Heroes didn't look interesting. The VR montage, those games didn't look all that compelling. And then just for me personally, I'm not interested in Mortal Kombat. I'm not interested in Days Gone. So those games don't do anything for me either. If you don't have a PSVR, which at least 50% of this showing was this showcase was for PSVR, I can't see how this broadcast would convince you to go buy one. If that was Sony's intent, on this broadcast to make people rush out and buy a PSVR, I think they failed spectacularly. These I don't think are the kind of games that are going to get people really excited for PSVR. It's really a shame because VR, when done right, can be really cool. And I wasn't going into this expecting an E3 presentation. It's only March. E3 is held in June. Sony is likely holding back much more exciting, much more interesting and significant announcements for E3. This state of play was probably more like a test run just to, get their feet wet and judge audience reaction. But still, they could have done a little better. I'm sure Sony could have shown some games that were a little more interesting, a little more compelling. Sell us on a reason to invest money into a PSVR, especially at this late stage in the PS4's life cycle, because rumors are saying that the PS5 will come out in 2020. So let's say a year and 8 months from now, the PS5 is out. You want to squeeze a bit more life out of PSVR. Okay, that's fine. But if these are the kind of experiences that you're offering to get people to jump on board, Sony, I don't think so. I think you should save your money. Use that money and wait for a PS5 instead. Invest it in that, or, just, I would suggest if you were already on the fence for a PSVR and you saw this broadcast, that wouldn't inspire me any confidence to buy one. I honestly think if that was Sony's intention, I think they failed. It's too bad. I was hoping this broadcast was going to be better. But, hopefully the next one. And that about wraps up my thoughts and impressions on Sony's debut State of Play address. I've been your host, the Stuttering Gamer. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you've liked what you've seen, I'd really appreciate a like or a comment, any feedback that you have. If you are enjoying my new content so far and you want to see more, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. I've got big new plans for my resurrected channel. Again, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.